Hi Reddit longtime lurker first time poster. Before I tell my story, I just want to say that I am in no way making excuses for my actions. I am 100% in the wrong. I just want the whole story told so I can get the best advice. So I 34 cheated on my wife 33 of 7 years with a coworker 27, we'll call her A. My story starts at the end of 2020 when my wife and I were involved in a car accident that ended up with her suffering a dislocated shoulder. After the accident, the months of her recovery caused serious financial strain on us. She ended up losing her job. For most of 2021, we were living paycheck to paycheck and feeling the stress that brings to a relationship. By the end of 2021, she was fully recovered and returned to work, albeit at a much lower salary. In early 2022, we refinanced our house to manage our lower joint income better and reduce stress. Everything started looking up. We were communicating better. Intimacy was returning to normal, and overall, we were bonding as a couple. Then interest rates started to skyrocket, and we were on a variable rate mortgage. By the end of 2022, our household expenses had increased by over $2,500 per month. We ended up being worse off than the month she wasn't working. In late 2022, I started a new job that brought our household income up to what we needed to get by, but not a lot more. Through 2023, I was working 70 to 80 hours per week without travel to stay afloat. As you can imagine, the long hours and reduced time at home started to take its toll on our relationship. Communication was breaking down, resentment building on both sides, intimacy failing. In October of 2023, my company was taking over a major logistics contract. I was asked to head the field training, and A was in charge of office training. The office that was going to head the contract was in a city 4 hours from where I lived, so A and I would be traveling weekly but not working directly with each other on a daily basis. The takeover would finish by year end, so roughly 3 months of weekly travel but home on weekends. Obviously, this wouldn't help my situation at home, but the bonus and salary increase at completion would greatly help the financial stress. At this time, that was the main cause of my relationship problems. So A and I began working together, keeping a very professional relationship, email contact only after working hours and weekends. I kept an open phone policy with my wife. She had all passwords to email accounts and messaging apps. For the most part, everything was going well. A and I were in a very professional working relationship, and the training was going faster than expected. One night, about a week before the training was due to wrap up, I went back to my hotel room after work and had a FaceTime call with my wife. We ended up getting into a massive fight that ended with her hanging up and me leaving to go to the hotel restaurant/bar. When I got to the bar, I ordered a double Jack and Coke and finished that within 15 to 20 minutes and ordered a second, then a third within the hour. Around 7 A came down to order dinner and saw me at my table and came over and started talking. She asked if she could join me at my table for a minute as she wanted to go over a couple of things for the following day. I said yes, and I was about to order dinner, and we could eat together and discuss work. I ordered my fourth drink, still doubles, and a steak dinner, and A ordered wine. As we talked and ate, she could tell something was off with me. As I finished ordering my sixth drink, she asked if I was okay. Up until this point, we kept our conversations very professional. I'm also not one to discuss personal matters with coworkers, especially female coworkers. But I guess being tipsy and angry, I decided to open up about the issues in my marriage and the fight I had with my wife before coming down to dinner. A opened up to me that she had recently split with her boyfriend because he couldn't handle her work schedule any longer. We both continued talking and ordered another round. Around 11 at night, we paid our bills and headed to the elevators. We were staying on the same floor, and as we were heading to our rooms, A said she wouldn't mind talking a little while longer. I said I had the suite with a sitting room and whiskey in my room. I know this was stupid, but I can't change it now. We go into my room, and I make us each a drink, and we continue talking. At this point, there is chemistry between us, but I was too tipsy to register or care. I got up to make another round, and A went to use the washroom. When I left the washroom, she walked up to me and got very close and kissed me. I was frozen for a second, and she kissed me again, this time very patiently, and before I knew it, we were heading to the bed with clothes coming off. I woke up the next morning with a pounding head, and A was still asleep in my bed, and the memories of the night before came flooding back. I immediately felt guilt and shame and regret for the previous night. I jumped in the shower and threw up. A knocked on the door and said she was returning to her room to get ready for the day. I told her I would see her at the office. I got out of the shower and made sure A had left my room, and I called my wife. When she answered the phone, I apologized for the fight the previous evening and told her I had to confess something to her. I told her what happened with A and asked if she wanted me to go stay at my parents' for the weekend. She was furious to say the least and said she didn't care what I did as she was going to stay with her sister. She broke down crying, called me in a holy, and hung up the phone. I went to work and tried to get through my day as best I could, but the guilt was eating me alive, and I ended up leaving early and driving the 4 hours home. When I got home, I was surprised to see my wife's car still in the driveway. I went into the house and found her sobbing on couch with the dogs. When she saw me, she got up and gave me a hug, then broke down and ugly cried, asking how I could do it. I'm not going to lie, my heart broke at the sight of her, and all the regret from the night before made me break down with her. I apologized over and over and told her I would answer any questions she has, and I understood if she could never forgive me. We spent the weekend in the house talking, fighting, and crying. It's been about 2 months since, and we are still together working through our issues. We started couples therapy about 6 weeks ago. So far, my wife has made it clear that she wants to stay in the marriage. Her reasoning is it was not an ongoing affair, and I owned up to my mistake immediately and on my own accord. As much as I want the marriage to continue, I have my doubts. I love her with everything I have, and I'm disgusted with myself for putting myself in the situation I did. My concern is what happens if she can get over it now, but 5 to 10 years down the road life triggers bad memories and she decides to walk then? Or is our relationship going to always be one of doubt and trust issues on our side? Asking for advice from internet strangers, as we have kept this quiet and not told any friends or family. Update: hi all, thanks to everyone who replied to my first post. I appreciated all of your responses, even the harsh ones. I've linked my original post to my profile for anyone knew her, but the TLDR is I had a ONS with a coworker, confessed to my wife the morning after, and she wants to work it out, and I'm struggling. So I'm going to answer and clarify a couple things before moving on to the update. I have been NC with A since the ONS, and she has taken over the office we were training out of, so I will have little to no interactions with her moving forward. Before my wife and I even went into MC, we put a couple things in place to help her. 1, tracking app on my phone and access to all accounts and messenger apps. 2, I on my own choice have decided to do a dry year at least. I've never had problems with alcohol, however my decision to turn to it to the level I did after a fight has me concerned moving forward, so I'm taking at least a year to have personal counseling, maybe AA, and take it from there. 3, the financial stress in 2021 was bad, but we still had savings. The big stress came in 2022 when the interest rates and inflation skyrocketed, almost tripling our monthly living costs to the point we were in the red by $1,200 per month until I started my new job at the end of 2022. 2023 was a year of long hours to stay afloat and ride out the year until we could get back onto a fixed-rate mortgage or be in a position to sell our house. Onto the update. We had MC last night, and I brought up my fears to my wife. She understands my fears and has similar ones herself. However, she feels that with the amount of stress we've been under in the last few years since the accident, and we didn't split, already shows we have the strength in our marriage to work through anything. I do agree with her on that point. Her next point, however, is taking some time to adjust to. She feels that this wasn't just sex, but a form of SA on A's part. My wife says I'm in the wrong for having A come into my room and to have as much to drink as I did, but she knows I'm a social drunk. I'm the guy that is friendly with everybody and has 5 new best friends and after-party invites after a night out, so me inviting A into my room isn't out of the norm for me on a social level. Her thoughts on the SA angle is, I saw me down 4 drinks with her at dinner, and there was 2 empty glasses on my table when she sat down, and I had 1 more with her in the room before she came on to me, so for sure she knew I had 7 drinks. She could confirm. A only had 2 glasses of wine with dinner in a 4-hour window, then 1 mixed drink with me in my room before coming on to me. My wife feels that there is no way A had more than a buzz where I would have clearly drunk, so while I'm not blameless, but there is enough reason to call this a form of SA. Our MC agreed with my wife that there is a case to be made. So now I'm processing this, as I just viewed this encounter as a drunken fuck-up and I'm to blame. Does anyone have thoughts on this? My wife has been a godsend. With MC, we have come to an understanding that while my actions that night were wrong and on me, the bigger issue in our marriage is how we handled the relationship during the last couple years that led to the ongoing resentment, dead bedroom, and constant small and large fights. So moving forward, we want to work with our MC to build better communication and coping skills within the marriage and outside MC, start dating each other and reconnecting down to the basics and rebuild from there. So it's been a week since my original post. A lot of you reached out asking for updates, so here it is. As of now, we're making it work. Between PC and MC, we're working on communication with each other and how to handle stress in the relationship. We've also enrolled in a household financial management course to do together, so hopefully we can not repeat past mistakes and learn to set ourselves up better financially. But mostly we have been talking as much as we can and allowing our emotions out, good or bad. It's a long road ahead, but I feel as of now there is at least hope.